My name is Beth Genslinger, and my story is a story of loss. I'm from the Valley View community. I was born here, I was raised here, I raised my own family here. I love Germantown. I recently retired from teaching at Valley View after 33 years. My son Andy died on October 7th of 2015 of a heroin overdose. I first found out that my son had begun using heroin about a year after he graduated from high school. And I noticed that his transition from high school had been difficult for him. He was a big deal in high school. He always had success. And suddenly many of his friends had moved on, and the support system he counted on wasn't there any longer. I noticed that he had some changes in friends, and he didn't seem to have a real passion for anything. But he was working part-time and taking classes. Over the years, Andy relapsed many times. Then he found out he was infected with hepatitis C. He went through a terrible 6-month treatment program, and after that he was deemed cured. Once again, I thought, okay, that was it. Now he's hit rock bottom. Then, in April of 2015, he was hospitalized for 33 days with a paraspinal infection. The infection left him with partial paralysis in his left arm and shoulder. Andy never really completely recovered from the paralysis, and he was in constant pain from the nerves in his arm as they reawakened. He began to self-medicate. On October 7th, I awoke to find his body. The transition after high school is a very vulnerable time in a teenager's life. I know Andy was confused about his path in life, and I think that contributed to his drug use. Don't be afraid to let parents know when it looks like their child is in trouble. We didn't know until a friend's mother called us, even though Andy was living in our home. Addicts can be very good at hiding things. Education is the key. We must begin young and repeat it often at both home and school. Addiction certainly doesn't begin with heroin, but the path to getting there is relatively short. You can't do this alone. Don't let shame keep you from reaching out for support. As a teacher, I was horrified to let anyone find out that my son was an addict. And Andy didn't want anyone to know because he thought people would hold it against him. That shame kept us from reaching out and getting the help and resources and advice that we really needed. In 2005, my nephew Zach Cox died of a fentanyl overdose. He had struggled on and off for years with addiction. Nothing like what we deemed too serious. He held a lot of jobs on and off. He was actually a police officer in Germantown for a time. Most of the time he ended up losing the jobs because of the addiction. But, he led a relatively normal life when he wasn't using. So, one night he was with friends and somebody had a fentanyl patch and he ingested too much and he just slipped away. Now at that time that Zach died, my son and nephew were just going into high school. So my son Andy was there, saw that. I always thought, oh, that's such a good lesson. He'll never do drugs because he saw what happened with Zach. Well, Zach's brother, Daniel Weidel, ended up also having addiction problems. And, he and Andy shared a lot of their stories together. Daniel tried a lot of different rehabs. He had a lot of success with Vivitrol, but in the end, he wasn't able to find a doctor that would give him the Vivitrol shot. And he died the day after Christmas. So we've lost, my parents have lost 3 grandsons. Zach first in 2005, and then 10 years later, my son Andy in October, and Zach's half brother, Daniel, the day after Christmas. So we've certainly seen how addiction can devastate a family. And we definitely believe there's an inherited link there with addiction. And even though we'd had addiction in our family, and I thought when I realized that Andy was an addict, I thought, I can handle this, okay? I've been through it with Zach. I know what to do. I know how to help him. And we did tough love, and we did all love. And at the end of the day, I've come to realize that every addiction is different. And I didn't have the resources or the knowledge to know how to help him. So that's been, a devastating thing to come to terms with as well.